Hey, good evening, and welcome to Winning Wednesday. It's good to see everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you. I hope you've had a great week. And I was just thinking, it is the end of March, which means it's the end of the first quarter, like literally in a day or two. We will be done with March, and this year is really, really fully in big full swing. And so it's going to be second quarter, and we've been celebrating women all this month. It's Women's History Month, and it's been my pleasure to have some great, amazing people on. And so tonight is no different. I have a dear friend and someone I admire and respect a great deal. She's super humble and just she really is. You'd never know that she has accomplished all that she has in the way that she carries herself and how she interacts with people. And so it's been my great pleasure to get to know her. And I'm not going to do a whole lot of preliminaries. We're going to get into it. I'd like to bring up again my friend, my sister, my Sora, and we've gotten to know each other not super well, but I feel like I do know her and know her well from way back in the day. I do feel that way. And her name is Dr. Rebecca Sanford, and she's done some amazing things. I thought she was a native Houstonian, but she is not. So she's going to tell us more about that. But she's an educator, a longtime educator, a mom, a wife. Hey, Donnie Don, and just does so many things. Very involved, highly honored and revered in the spaces where she is as an educator. So I think you all may have seen this posting where she was the first Black woman to receive her doctorate degree in the special ed program at the University of Houston. I hope I'm not messing that up. First in piloting an inclusive classroom in the Aldine School District. Hey, Marcy. And just done a whole bunch of things, some of which we haven't even talked about, but I'm going to let her share some more. So please help me welcome Dr. Rebecca Sanford. Here she comes. I'm going to click over and get her right in here. So, hey, Rebecca, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, I am good. It's so good to see you. Thank you for being with us tonight. I'm really glad.
Right.
I hope we're not breaking into your beauty rest time and keeping
Not at all.
because you're already beautiful and glowing and things. So yeah. So thank you for being here as we round out Women's History Month. I couldn't think of anybody better to have on and to speak in the space of so many hats that you wear. So before we jump in, I'd love for you to just tell us some more about yourself, anything you'd like us to know about you.
Sure. Well, I am married to my wonderful husband, Daryl. We just celebrated our 7th anniversary a week ago, actually.
Happy anniversary. And tell him thank you because we do show up at your place.
Oh, y'all invade his space all the time.
And he's so nice about it. He just like, hey, y'all, and we just move all around y'all's space. Y'all have a party house. So happy anniversary. Please
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm a mom. I'm a mom of 2, Jacori and Jemiah, who I am extremely proud of, the young adults they've become. I'm a member of the Luke Church. Of course, I love my DST. And yeah, exactly. And you wanted me to share that I was born in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. My father was in the service. He was in the Air Force when he met my mom over in Amsterdam, and moved to East Texas when I was about four years old. And you mentioned some firsts. My parents were the first interracial couple, I should say, in East Texas. And I was the first biracial child in that community.
Really? Yeah. The history of that town, they were the first biracial couple, really. And you were the first. That is interesting. See, you have all these firsts. You making moves for real.
Wow.
That's really interesting, Rebecca. Didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. So that's me in a nutshell. I've been an educator for, I'm approaching 30 years in education. Spent the majority of my career in Aldine, 25 years, and completing 26 years and completing my 3rd year in Cleveland ISD, and in central administration now. So I'm here to make a difference. I pray every day when I wake up is, Lord, let me make a difference today. So that's what I'm here for.
That is so good. I love it. Let me make a difference today. And I imagine that's in the lives as a parent. You know what it's like when parents are sending their kids off to school. So making a difference in the parents' lives, the children's lives, absolutely, your colleagues, the other educators and your community and everywhere. So
Mhm.
that is so cool. I love that prayer that you have. And I love that all of these firsts are things that you can put behind your name. That's really cool. And that's really amazing. And so I want to ask you, because you talked about how long you've been in education. And so what inspired you? I mean, that's like your whole career. What or who inspired you to become an educator? Why did you start
Yeah.
this path?
Well, I tell you, I didn't know I was going to be an educator. You know, you have people in your life that tell you, oh, you're going to be this or you're going to be that. And oftentimes as a young person, when they tell you you're going to be something, you try to be the opposite or not
Mhm.
follow along. And I had the traits, I guess, along the way in terms of being a teacher, being a leader and whatnot. But I actually went to the University of Houston to become a pharmacist.
Did you?
I did. I
We
did.
didn't know all that, Rebecca.
I
No. Uh-huh.
tell you, and God he has a sense of humor. He just, he
Uh-huh.
threw a few little detours along that pathway and put a couple of people in my life that I wasn't expecting to encounter, and they just changed the trajectory of my career of me.
Mhm.
Ended up graduating with a degree in speech disorders,
Mhm.
communication disorders, and thought I was going to be a speech pathologist after I thought I was going to be a pharmacist.
Okay.
But I found my space over in the College of Education, working on my master's degree in special education. You know, I'd always just been very intrigued and interested in people with special needs. My great uncle is special needs. He's still living today. He's 81 years old,
Mhm.
um, and I always had a heart, you know, for people with uniqueness. And so that was my inspiration. So I got my master's in special ed, and someone told me, well, you're not gonna be able to do anything with that. So you might as well go get your alternative certification while you're at it. So that's what I did. I'm alternatively certified. So all of those principals out there or future principals, don't prejudge an applicant because they are an alternative certification person, and that they're not didn't go to school to be an educator.
Mhm.
And
So,
in fact,
pause for a
uh-huh,
moment, if you will. So
yeah,
I come from the corporate background, and
okay.
all many of my friends, SARs, are educators. So I don't get the lingo, and some others who are listening in or will tune in later may not. So when you say that alternative certification, what do you mean by that?
Sure. So you have two pathways to become an educator. And the
Mhm.
first pathway is traditional, where you actually go to school to become a teacher. And so
Okay.
you're an education major. And when you graduate, you graduate with a degree in education and also with a certification to teach. Um,
Okay.
and so I didn't take that traditional pathway, as well as many other people that I know and you know. We were degreed in something else.
Okay.
And so we went the alternative certification route where we joined a program. We met criteria, had to meet certain criteria, and then we took the same state exam that the people that took the traditional route in education.
Gotcha. I
Mhm.
love how you plug that, and thank you for pumping your brakes, because what
Mhm.
I've learned with our Winning Wednesday, people do chime in and listen much later. They do. And so somebody who we're not even trying to say be an education, but
Mhm.
what I hear you saying is your path, an individual's path to get to where they're ultimately called to be, doesn't require them to go, say, a traditional route. And so, for folks who are out there who are listening, saying, hey, I'm trying to figure out what's next for me, whether it's young adults getting out of school, or whoever it might be, don't feel like you've missed where you're supposed to be, so to speak, because you maybe go a different route. So that's something
Absolutely.
big that I heard you say. And
Absolutely.
you went to school for certain things, and here
Mhm.
you are all these years
Here I
later
am.
in
Yeah.
this space. So nobody who's listening now, checking this out, think that whatever paths you're pursuing, if you don't go particularly this way, that you won't get to where you need to be or want to be. It can happen, is what I hear you saying.
Exactly, exactly. And what I definitely want to share is that for all the principals or future principals out there is don't make a decision on an applicant because of the fact that they went an alternative route. Because here I sit today and I went that alternative route, and there are many teachers who I worked with who were some of the best teachers.
Mm,
Um, and they were second career, or like I said, graduated with a degree that had nothing to do with education.
Mhm.
So so therefore I just went on and became a special education teacher, did that for 3 years in Aldine, and moved quickly through the ranks, if you will, became an assistant principal for 3 years, and then was blessed to become principal of Johnson Elementary for 10 years. Moved over to my feeder middle school for
Mhm.
9.5 years, and
Mhm.
then
Catching that half, 9.5.
half. Yeah, I did. I didn't complete the whole year. I actually, my first day in Cleveland was the first day of the closure for COVID.
Oh.
I didn't finish the year out in Aldine. That's why I got that half plugged in there.
Gotcha. 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 I want to go back to something else before I ask you another question. This really touched me. And when I'm looking down, I'm capturing some notes. You talked about your great uncle. You said he's 81, and you
Hmm.
said you always had a heart.
Yeah.
And he was some inspiration. So the point I want to make, the little plug here, is for all of us. I know I went through a long period of what's my purpose, what's my calling, what am I
Mhm.
supposed to do, and there was always somebody in my ears saying, think about the things that have always been there in your life, the things where you've had passion, or you've had a heart for it. So when you spoke about that, it makes so much sense. So here's your uncle, you've spent time with him as a young person, um, and then that's where your heart is. So as you pursued your career, it makes sense that what your heart, what your passion was, melding with what you do professionally. So
Mhm.
I just want to encourage somebody, if you're thinking about, again, this next part of your career, or where you are now and what's important, or trying to figure it out from square one, what are the things that have tugged your heart from way back in your life? That's
Mhm.
kind of something I picked up
Yeah.
with what you were saying, Rebecca. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Find your passion in what's important to you, and when you do that, and when that's your foundation, then you can't help but to give your all.
That's good. That's good. So let's pivot and talk about all these first.
Yeah.
First African American, first Black woman to graduate with the doctorate, to obtain
Mhm.
your doctorate in education, in that department, special education department at University of Houston. The school, the classroom that you talked about, or that I referenced, that I saw in your bio as well. So you're a person of first. Some that have, with your family, with your parents, and then others that you've pursued. What's kind of been the driving force behind that? What
Well,
made you say, this what I'm going to do? And yep, I'm gonna be the first and the youngest. I think that really struck my, like, you was the baby doing this. So
I was 29 years old, actually. Well, let me say this. I never set out to be the first in anything.
Mhm.
I've just always been taught to be the best at everything that you do. And so in doing so, um, certain things were birthed from that. And so, like you said, being the youngest to graduate from the College of Education in with a doctorate in special education, and then the first African American female as well, or just first African American period, and
Hmm.
and then my second year teaching in Aldine, I was working on my master's degree, and I have always had the mindset of inclusivity. I never wanted to see my great uncle excluded from anything,
Hmm.
because he was just as important as you and I. He was just unique. And so I was given permission to do my master's thesis and some research on inclusion. And so I piloted the very first inclusion classroom in Aldine with a third grade class. I had 6 students, and my 6 students were included in a classroom with their age appropriate peers, instead of being educated in a classroom just by themselves.
Right.
And my God, they flourished.
Hmm.
And administrators from across the district and from outside of the district came and observed and wanted to know what we were doing. And that all became the basis for my research as I pursued my doctorate degree. And I have to pause right here, because a lot of times as educators, we don't really understand the depth of our reach.
Mhm.
And these 6 young people, how their lives were changed as a result of being included. And in 2009, just before I was, no, two, I'm sorry, 2019,
Mhm.
um, coming out of COVID, a young lady reached out to me on Facebook Messenger. And she said, "Do you remember me? My name is Sarah."
Oh.
And my sweet Sarah was one of my 6. And I may get a little choked up, but
Oh, I'm getting choked up, and
I
I'm
know.
right with you. You go ahead. Wow.
And this was, we were connecting and we were going to get together, but then COVID happened, and so we didn't get to meet. And so we actually ended up meeting. She invited me to her child's birthday party. And so I went and we connected, and she told me, "You remember me, the little girl in class that couldn't read or had difficulty reading, and I was so shy, and you helped build my confidence, and you taught me how to read, and you saw me for who I am." And she said, "I want you to know that I'm going to school to be a teacher today to help those that had the struggles that I had." So that was one. And then Mr. Darrell and I were going on vacation.
Ooh.
And I saw this young man in the TSA line directing the passengers. And it was my Patrick. He was 2 of the 6. And I tapped him on the shoulder and I said, "Do you remember me?" And he called my name, Miss Hoyt. I was Miss Hoyt at the time. And I tell you, to see him. And then I have one more of my 6.
Yeah.
What my 6? I was in the drive-thru at McDonald's by Hambrick. And this young man came to the window, and he looked like he saw a deer in headlights.
Did he? It was that big shock look. Like
he did. And he called over, like, I guess the people that were working behind the counter, and he pointed at me and he said, "This is my teacher. She taught me how to multiply, and it's because of her that I am where I am today." And that was my Rolando. So 3 of the 6 of that pilot group are successful adults, and I know the other 3 are too. I'm just still looking for them, and that's Pedro, Annie, and Veronica.
You're Pedro. You said Annie and
Annie. And
Veronica. How you own them too. You're breaking my sweet, my this, my that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But so much good came from someone wanting to take a chance on me, and my heart and my passion and my desire to be an advocate and a voice for the voiceless, if you will.
So I'm unpacking a whole lot in all that you've said, and thank you for sharing that. And I listen and I go, 50% of that class, that inclusive classroom, God allowed you to encounter them.
Yes, he did.
And when you said your sweet Sarah, my sweet Sarah, she's got a child, she's pursuing education. I mean, my goodness, that the Lord allowed you to see that. And I imagine there are lots of educators on now. And as you even spoke, you really poured into educators so far. And you said this, the depth of our reach.
Yes.
It is deep, and there is great reach. And for you to get to see literally and to hear from 50%, half of those students, and see them being productive. So that's reminder, reinforcement to you. Yeah, you do have great depth, great reach, and all of your sacrifices, all of the hard work, because I can't imagine it was easy all the way, or it has been an easy breezy journey, but you make a difference. So please, everybody who's on, know that the work that you do is such, especially with passion. And you were bold too, Rebecca, that you got permission. Something in you said, let me just ask if they'll let me have this inclusive classroom. It was a 50-50. They may say yes, they may say no, but you were bold in pursuing it. They approved it, and look at the difference that it's made.
Yes. Phenomenal.
That is so good. That is so good. But I want to go back to something before we go on.
Okay.
I want to keep the time, because I know I like to run my mouth, and I don't want to do that. I want to keep you way up. No. You said you were taught to be the best. My question was, you and being first at stuff and just pursuing that and being the youngest and all those things. And you said your parents taught you to be the best. And this is a little sidebar, funny for sorors. You have a mean musical chair situation going. All the stars, just put it in the chat. Yep, yes, and yes. We'll work you over behind some musical chairs. That's a little inside thing. That's all I want to say about that. So we see it manifested.
That's just that competitive nature of me.
Okay, we just don't leave it like that. All the stars come a yes and does. So you've leaned into some of it, but what are you most proud of? Not just about your career, but you
Yeah.
as you look back over your life, what are you most proud of?
Without hesitation, I'm most proud of being a mom, being a mother, um, being being a coach, being a mentor, being able to help people find their greatness.
Yeah.
And I really love the fact, Charlotte, that anybody knows they can call on me at any time and I'm there for them 110%, whether that's to listen, to give advice, to um, give a hug, pray with them. Um, the people in my circle know that they can count on me. So I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, that's good. Moms, aunties, grandmothers, godmothers, that whole motherhood piece.
Hmm.
Consistently, when I talk to women, especially, and they do talk about that great pride, and you have wonderful, amazing children. Your daughter just graduated college, just
Hmm.
did some huge, big things. We all were. Some of us were confused about her Jordan year. Who's Jordan? Get it together, Alicia.
Right.
But she's just doing amazing things as well as your son. And so being proud of that, that is so, so, so cool. So we've been talking about the good stuff.
Yeah.
Talk about the struggles or the obstacles, because I don't want to give anybody the pressure. Oh my God, Dr. Sanford, she's just, everything's been perfect.
Hmm.
Not that we're trying to glorify when there are challenges, but that's what I want to hear about and ask
Yeah.
you to encourage all of us. What about the obstacles and how have you overcome them?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is I changed my language. I don't encounter obstacles. I encounter opportunities.
Mm. Hear that
And
alliteration, you all, the alliteration from the educator. No obstacles. Yeah, opportunities.
yeah, opportunities that will allow me to make decisions. Some of them may not always be good decisions, but whatever those decisions are, they have molded me into the person that I am today. And it's tough, it's being young and in leadership brought about many challenges because the people who I led were all older than me. And
Mm,
so I always felt like I had something to prove. But very quickly, I overcame that and used that as an opportunity to build relationships and to show people my genuineness. And through those connections, um, I mean, my career it skyrocketed and really quickly because we were all working for the same purpose.
mhm,
And that purpose was for the betterment of children.
mhm,
And whenever we can agree to disagree, but always come back around to the fact that whatever decision we make, we're making it for the best of the children, then we can all walk out of that room or that discussion knowing that we've done the best.
mhm,
But in terms of um, others attempting to bring you down, I've experienced that. In terms of rejection, I've experienced that. But again, those have all been opportunities for me because what I thought was meant for me, God said, no,
mm,
this is what I have for you.
mm,
And instead of me being down and disappointed and hurt and angry, I had to quickly move out of that and say, okay, God, what do you have for me? And so
mm,
he doesn't take long. He,
yeah.
he puts people in your pathway or opens this door very quickly so that you can continue to move forward and do the work that he set you here to do.
Yeah. And I
Mhm.
love what you said. He doesn't take long in doing that.
No.
And
Mm-mm.
I think that the condition, the part of that equation is you said, Lord, what do you have for me? So it's like,
Mhm.
wow, if we encounter something and stepping back and saying, you know what, I surrender this, God, to you.
Mhm.
So what is
Mhm.
it that you have? And I think what I've learned or observed in my life, when I take that posture and that mindset, then he does show up versus,
Right.
man, I'm gonna go get somebody and do
Right.
all that and we'll get them straight. No, it didn't feel good. And you talked about it. And thank you for your transparency, whether
Mhm.
it's And I think you hit on something big, and this is applicable whether it's in education, corporations, associations, nonprofit. There's applicability here. You said, and many of us find ourselves in that spot. Maybe a baby boomer is being led by somebody who's younger, a millennial or a Gen
Mhm.
X. That is very much happening, and there doesn't have to be conflict. I
Right.
heard you say you focused on building the relationship. So
Mhm.
if anybody's experiencing that in your workplace, where somebody is younger than you who's over you, focus on building the relationship. Or you're the leader of some folks who are maybe older or have more tenure. Focus on the relationship. So you're giving us great, rich nuggets. Yeah, people bringing you down or rejection. You've said, Lord, what is it that you have for me? And then listen to him as he's spoken to you and giving you guidance.
Mhm.
That's good. Good.
Yeah. Their rejection was his promotion. So
Say that
uh,
again. I think I cut you off.
I said their rejection was his promotion.
I tell you all every week, if you miss Bible study, it's not a problem. If you miss Bible study on Wednesday, it's not a problem because you're going to get a little something here. So she said, say that again. Their rejection is his promotion.
Absolutely.
Oh, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about
Mhm.
it. If, however, things that we may encounter, how someone may or may not be treating you, if we're aligned with him, he's got us. That's good, good. I have a few more questions for you. So you've
Okay.
talked about how you've overcome some difficult situations. I like that they're not obstacles, they're
Mhm.
opportunities. That's really good. So I would love you to really put your educator hat on. I was out in California over the last 3 weeks. I've
Yeah.
traveled a ton and spent a good couple of weeks in LA with family, and thankful to be able to do that. Those teachers were striking. They 3 days just full
Mhm.
on, and LA is expensive to a place to live, and they were just like, we cannot afford this, like pay us more. And as I think about educators across the globe, it's like, man, we don't compensate you all enough for the work that you do every day. It's keep
Mhm.
our kids safe, it is all kinds of things. So what encouragement, you've encouraged the educators, but encourage some other educators in some kind of ways, because you've seen it from different lenses. You've been in the classroom, you've been the principal, you're administrator over so many other schools. Encourage the educators in some kind of way.
Yeah, well, it's tough. It's tough being an educator right now, and it was tough before COVID, but it's it was accentuated 10 times after. And I would just say, remember your why. Why did you become an educator? What was your purpose? And for many, it's a heart of service, a love for children, a desire to make a change and to be impactful. And those educators in Los Angeles, yes, they're striking, but Charlotte, they could have also left the profession and just gone and done something else.
Mm-hmm.
But they have to, they have to do what they need to do for themselves and their livelihood. But they haven't turned their backs on the
Mm-hmm.
children. They're still in the profession
Yeah.
because they're there for their why as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we have to remember that those children deserve the very best of us every single day. So
Mm-hmm.
outside of everything else that we're dealing with personally as well as professionally, when we're before those children, it's not their fault. And
Right.
so we owe them the very best of us when we step in front of them in that classroom. So just remember your why and your purpose and why you wanted to become that educator to begin with.
That's so good. Remember our why. And that's
Mm.
good for all of us. Whatever
Yeah.
it is we're doing, and we say we're
Thank you.
passionate about it, remember our why. Because there will be days where we hit a wall and it's challenging. I'm a business owner, and there are days I say, what on earth? Let me go find a job. And then
Yeah.
I do remember, here's why I'm doing this, and I get encouragement. So that's a good word for us. Remember your why. Educators, everybody. And stay in this path around children and remembering and thinking about them. I want you to talk to us as parents.
Hmm.
Milan is grown and not in school anymore, K through 12, but I think about all the kids. Talk to us as parents in the larger community. How can we help our kids be successful, whether that's in school or in life? You
Hmm.
have young adult children now. Talk to us from that perspective. Any thoughts that
Yeah.
you have?
Yeah, I do. Love them unconditionally. Spend time with them. We talk often and we say, kids nowadays aren't like how we were when we were growing up. We come home from school and we put a book bag down and go back outside and play. It's common to be in a restaurant nowadays and you look up and you see a family of 4 or 5 and they all have their heads in their technology or their device. My advice would be to talk to your children, engage in conversation, get to know who they are, the people they hang around, the events and happenings in their day-to-day life. Go back to the way things were with you, to a certain extent, and really invest in them the time. Time is so critical for the success of children, and many of the children that are experiencing problems, social emotional issues, a lot of them will go back and say, I didn't have someone in school who I thought cared about me, or my mother was too busy, or they didn't care about me, or I just kind of melted away in the background. And it's because our day-to-day life is so different now, and so we have to pause and take out time to get back to the basics, to what we know to have molded us and helped us and be successful in day-to-day life. So yeah, that would be my advice to parents. Slow down a little bit and really take that time, because we can't get it back.
That's so true. We can't. Conversation, dialoguing with them.
Yes.
And it changes as they get older. That's a whole conversation you and I can have in terms of how parenting looks as they're getting older. But the conversation, and notice she said nothing about buy them something else, go get them some more shoes, do, a PlayStation, or take them on a trip. It's parents engaging, spending that time, being there, being present. It's the time. So that we can hear and learn and know and have a sense of things. So that's good guidance for us. Thank you. I just want to pivot. I appreciate that you're supporting the brand tonight. She wore her shirt too. And with it, I am so appreciative. And I just want to ask you, what does that mean to you? How do you win without perfection or permission in your life each day, whatever facet of your life?
Yeah. So winning without perfection or permission. Well, first of all, what God has for me is for me. I don't need anyone's permission. I have His permission. So
I told you need a big Bible study. Lay me out.
and that's just the way it is. And winning without perfection is, to me, mistakes create success. Yeah. Success is birthed out of mistakes. I love the slogan, and I love the opportunity when I wear it. I love, people want to stop and read it. And I love the opportunity to engage in conversation around that, because so many people believe and feel that they got to be perfect, that they can't make a mistake, or they need the approval, if you will, of others in order to be successful. And they don't.
We don't. We have His approval. That's so good. Right. And thank you for wearing. Thank you for supporting. I was flying back from LA and had my shirt on, and a woman stopped me. We engaged in a great conversation, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, that is so right on." And it just blessed me. And she ordered 2. I didn't send them to her, and I'm like, "Thank you." So I appreciate your support and appreciate that you're out and repping the brand. So absolutely. I appreciate that. And I'm hearing what you're saying. And I'm going to wrap it up. We're a little over time, and it's my goal to not hold you, but I really want to ask this. Just any encouragements for people who are here, especially around just pursuing what we're passionate about, what really not keeps us up, struggling, but our dreams. And if we're feeling like it's just not within my grasp, what am I doing? I'm not getting there quick enough, fast enough. Any just parting words that you would give to us?
Yes. Don't allow good enough to define you. Oftentimes we get to the point where we're good. You'll hear people say, "Oh, I'm good. It's good." But that's the point where you need to push a little harder and push a little further. And you change that good into great. And when we get caught up in the good enough, that's where the frustration will come in, because you're not achieving what you set out to achieve or what you desire to have, because you're not putting in the work. So anything worth having is worth working for. I know you've heard that.
Mhm.
And so don't allow yourself to get caught up in just the good enough. And then um, find your voice. And once you find your voice, use your voice. Be your own advocate, be your own cheerleader. Don't wait for someone else to speak up for you or speak on your behalf or put in a good word for you. Let your work speak for itself. So always walk as if you're on stage, and be ready at all times. Um, and then a mentor told me very, very early on in my career, and it's gotten me to where I am today. And it's just simply always do right by people, because God wouldn't have it any other way. And when you do right by people and you are for people, then people are for you. And your success is determined by the success of those that work with you. And live every day without regret.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
only get one shot at this game called life.
Yes. That
Yeah.
is so good. You have helped us tremendously. I want you all in the comments. I always ask this, and I'll ask you to certainly do it tonight. If you've received anything that Dr. Sanford has shared, please let her know that in the comments. So when she gets a minute to go back and see how it blessed or encouraged you, please put some things there in the chat. And I just want to say, I really, really want to say how I appreciate you, and I do love you. You are a woman of excellence. We hear that used many times in maybe it's church or wherever. You really are what you talk about. If in times where I've asked you to do something, whether it's been a part of a committee or something, you come with it and you've thought it out from A to Z. You've got all the resources, the support. There's no question on how is this going to go with Rebecca handling it. You just do. And I so appreciate that. Again, I appreciate your humility. I know lots of folks who've achieved greatness from an academic standpoint, and they're like, I'm Dr. So and so. You'd never know that with you. And I'm not knocking anybody who really says, yeah, this is what I've earned. Yet you walk in such a place where we'd never know that you've accomplished all these first because you just present you. And so it's easy to love you and embrace you. And I appreciate that. And you are an encouragement. There was something that had happened a few years ago, you may recall, and you just came to me, and I don't think you even knew me that well. And you're like, your time will come. You're good. And I just appreciate that. So thank you. Thank you for being a light. Thank you for being willing to pop on here and just being, vulnerable and transparent with us and sharing. You teared up. I'm the only one I thought who just cry in a second. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here and encouraging us and sharing with us a bit about your journey. I know the people have been blessed. And so I love you and I appreciate you. And I'm going to let you go so you can, Mr. Daryl not saying, really? She got you doing something else. She ain't even over here. Tell him we said we appreciate him and we thank him.
Well, thank you so much for thinking about me to end your Women's History Month and Spotlight on Women. So I thank you and I love you, my sister.
You're welcome. Good night. You sleep well and have a great day tomorrow, okay? Awesome sauce. I'm going to let you go. And if you all will hang with me, thank you again for being here. Thank you for your comments, Vanessa and others who were on. I appreciate it. And so we wrapped up Women's History Month. And here's what I want you to know. You're great. Every woman who's on here, it's not just looking back at the women. And I honor that. I absolutely do. I wanted to have my mom on this month, but just didn't work out. I'll have her on another time. But we're women's history and creating it 24/7. So know that everything that you're doing is making a great impact on the people around you and the people that you don't even know are watching and paying attention. They got eyes on you. So keep being great. Keep keeping your crown up top. And those gentlemen who were on, celebrate the women in your lives. Let them know you appreciate them. Let them know that they are great. Help them, encourage them, sturdy them, hold those arms up, do all those things. We recognize women for 1 month of the year, but women make it happen all year long, okay? Next month, Financial Literacy Month. And this marks, like literally, I started this 3 years ago, and it was Financial Literacy Month. And that's where I said, let me get on and just kind of spotlight some things. So I've got some folks lined up who can help us keep our money together. And so be tuned in. April, Financial Literacy Month, we'll be delving into that. And then we're circling back. We're going back to the marriages, the relationships. We're going to talk about divorce too, life after divorce, and so many other things, trying to keep it real because the goal is for us to win without perfection or permission in every single area of our lives. So good night. Thank you all for being here. I love you, and I'll see you next time, okay? because we're winning without perfection or permission. See you next time. Bye-bye.